Okay, hello everybody. Here we are with our first real conversation with a real person, Jennifer, who has been in my life for a couple of years now. She just rocks at what she does. So when I wanted to have this conversation about going into the holidays and all the things that it brings with us and that we drag into the holidays with us, right? As people, we drag in a lot of emotions and feelings and things that come up at this time of year that we don't deal with for the rest of the year. That's life. So I just want to have a chat with Jennifer about how we can handle that, like how we can get a handle on it and maybe not sabotage ourselves so desperately. Because I just had to recalibrate myself. I was just telling Jen I was in an abusive relationship with sugar in my life again. And I really had to do a hard reset because all the amount of inflammation I had in my body, Jen, was unreal. I had a knee that had never bothered me before
Yeah.
that did not want to work. Like I would move it a certain way and I would scream in pain. I'm like, what is happening to me? And then I sat down and I looked at myself and I said, well, it could be those, the entire bag of Reese's peanut butter cups you ate over the last 3 days and the amount of honey you're putting in your sugar, in your coffee 3 times a day. And then, the list goes on. But anyway, Jennifer, I'd like to throw it to you so you can introduce yourself to our ladies.
Well, I'll just do a really brief introduction because you just spoke my love language there, talking about inflammation. So make sure I don't forget about that after I just give you a brief overview. So my name's Jen Quirk, and I have been a wellness coach for a long, long time, over a decade. So I'm really good at what I do, and I think what we're going to be speaking about in this conversation that we're going to have with each other will kind of show you that I do things differently, and I think that it takes doing things differently to actually get the results, the long-term results that you're searching for. And I think that the emphasis should be more on health rather than just weight. Although, weight is an indicator of where you are and maybe what you're feeling on the inside. It's always a reflection on the outside, I believe. But so I don't forget, inflammation, nobody really wants to talk about that much because it's not very sexy. But coming into the holidays, especially, as we are allowing ourselves to eat more crap food, and we'll talk about that later, I'm sure, what you'll notice are joints will start to hurt, right? It's bizarre. And then things like, and this I didn't link up for the longest time, things like asthma, you'll see that coming out. Asthma and allergies will just flare up beyond belief. And it's what you're putting into your body that's creating inflammation within your body, and that's the response that's happening. So those certainly are things that we can be in control of just by the way that we're eating. Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, it wasn't until this last hard reset that I made the connection for myself that even my bras don't fit right. Like I'm overspilling them. Like even my boobs are inflamed, right?
And if we could just inflame those and not everything else, that would
I
be
don't
okay.
have that issue. I would love to give some little packages to people who would like some more over the holidays because they really are out of control the older I get. It really, like, I used to equate it to my weight, but now it has nothing to do with it. So I don't know. I am a very slow, latent, blooming teenager. Whatever, man. my midlife crisis is I have boobs. That's of all the things it could have been, that's a pretty okay one. So speak to me on inflammation.
Well, so we're in total control of inflammation within our bodies, and really that's why we should be wanting to change our eating habits. So you come upon this time, and people notoriously, they gain weight, they feel like crap. Going into it, we just need to, it's almost like, this is what I always say, we need to change our blueprint about what the holidays look like. So in our minds, we're like, okay, I'm going to be out of control. I'm going to, gain extra weight. That always happens. It doesn't need to be that way. So it takes making that choice not to want to be there anymore. But what we have to realize is that however, many years that you've been alive, you have these programs that are running within your mind. And I just want to throw out this name. If you haven't seen any YouTubes with Dr. Joe Dispenza, he's amazing. And he will tell you from a scientific viewpoint how what we've been doing over the course of our lives, it's wired in so tightly so that, like you're talking, a couple of years ago or a couple of weeks ago, like you were feeling like crap, you were out of control with your sugar. And, part of that was just what's been programmed into your mind. And then part of it is a real physical addiction. I mean, it is worse. Sugar is worse than like cocaine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It lights up all the same places in the brain.
It does. And you can see that. And so, but I bet you were probably forgetting about that a little bit. And you were probably feeling like, what's wrong with me? Here I am again doing the same old thing. And it has nothing to do with willpower or how good or how bad you're being, right? It has to do with, how everything's wired and what you're experiencing physically. So just knowing that and, just give yourself some grace and know that you're working against a whole lot. And we need to shift and kind of deprogram and then rewire and refire what we want to be living.
So basically come up with a new plan beforehand, right? So
You
my hard reset came after what is notoriously a really hard time of year for me, right? So a lot of emotional grief memories, etc. And I totally give myself grace to feel all the things, but in that plan I have yet to program in, now how do I keep myself physically well while I'm allowing my mental health to have its little vacation around this, because I can't ignore this time of year. It'll only hit me harder somewhere else, right? So I need to make a new plan on that season of grace I need to give myself. Is that what I'm missing?
Yeah, you definitely need a new game plan coming into it. And especially if this is notoriously hard times for you, you need to understand that. So stop, and I don't know, but I think I know your personality a little bit. Stop expecting and laying out things that are going to be so hard to achieve in which will incur a lot of stress. Like, if I mean, your house looks impeccable, right? So if you're decorating and getting the most amazing gifts for people, and if that's part of your repertoire, maybe drop it, right? Maybe take the time, whatever is hard about this season for you. Like, so coming into the season, I just lost my stepdad back in March. And today is actually his birthday. This is going to be, this is going to be a tricky time, but I can go into it and I'm just going to reframe. So rather than think about not having him here, I'm going to choose to think about all the wonderful times we have and maybe come up with some new traditions that we can actually be honoring him, right? And that's going to feel good to me and the kids. So kind of, you just have to reframe things.
Right. And be conscious about it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Before you're feeling the things. Like
Yeah.
literally for me, I'm going to have to, because I'm a very scheduled person. If it's not written down, I don't do it, right? It's just not happening. So for me, I guess I need to look at my overall calendar when I'm planning ahead, like we all do, right? If we're running any kind of our own business, we're always planning. For me, it's 3 months ahead so that I have a game plan. I need to plan in those kinds of things for myself. Like
Yes.
seriously, that's going to
Yeah.
be game changing.
And what I love about people like you're actually very easy to work with because you do like to schedule, you do like to be structured. And so what I need to remind people like you and like myself is that, listen, you have to take time for you. Okay. You're creating all this amazingness around you. You've created this series where you can be uplifting people, right? And you hope to kind of make that switch for them. But if you're not taking care of you, what good is it all?
Right. Exactly. Right. And that's what I'm always telling my people too, is you got to make sure you're on the list, right? But then again, I'm always the worst at putting myself on the list
Yes.
as well. Like notoriously, I that is the first thing I tell people. Ask people, are you on your own to-do list?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Women look at me like, what are you even talking about? I mean, seriously, is there time in there for the things you enjoy that you do on your own, whether it be a bath or a book or a walk or whatever? Is that in your to-do list? Is it timed in your schedule?
You got it. You got
Right?
it. You got it. Because you're
But
you're no good to anybody else.
right.
And scheduling in all those things, it's never being selfish. So sometimes we have to get over that too.
Yes, I feel like that's a
Yeah.
huge hurdle. And especially because I know a lot of my audience, they are entrepreneurs as well. One of the biggest struggles is finding that balance between what we want to do professionally, what we're doing for our families. And then again, we get lost because we think, well, I need to tick everybody else's boxes first, right?
Oh, absolutely. And so just appealing to the entrepreneurial mind, since we probably we'll have a lot of those people tuning in. What I've found in working with entrepreneurs is as soon as they dedicate more time to feeling better, to having more energy, to getting their confidence back, you see a skyrocket in their businesses. They're more productive. However I don't know what you guys think about like the universe and things coming to you that you put out there, but you're going to be putting out like much more positive energy and mojo, and that's exactly what you're going to be getting back. So
Right? Like attracts like.
oh yeah. So if
Yeah.
you do it for you, right? Do it for, your kids, your family, and do it for your business. That's kind
Right.
of the way to look at it.
Right. And I think that's a way that that's a concept that I don't think a lot of us look at our business. Like our business needs as much love as we give everybody else and everything else in our life. Like
Yeah.
we ju- like that's an aha moment for me right now. Like my business is deserving as everything else that I shower love on. I need to shower more love on my business.
Oh my goodness, yes. Yes, and your clientele will feel it.
I can feel my blood pressure working. I'm going to get really red. Don't worry, I'm not going to faint or anything, people. Um, that was a serious aha moment for me. And I've been in this game a long time. Never too old to learn new tricks.
Oh no. Oh my goodness. And that's part of it too, is just, the daily self-development. So my suggestions, and I'll tell you guys food things if you want. I'll just throw a few out there, but personal development on a daily basis. So seriously, every single day, I Google something on YouTube. I love Dr. Joe Dispenza. I love anything by Abraham Hicks. Those happen to be my favorites. I tend to get a lot of Audible stuff, and I listen to that. Figuring out your morning routine, that's huge. And it should be sacred, right? So develop it any way that you want it, but some ideas for that are, making sure that you get up well rested. So that means getting to bed at a decent hour, taking a little time for meditation. I know to some of you, it's probably like, ooh, I can't take time to do that. I'm telling you what, you can get more done in 10 minutes of meditation for your business and for yourself than you can with 8 hard hours of diligent work, just kind of grinding. So that's super important. Writing out goals, having maybe a daily gratitude journal, huge. It's huge. It's the best thing that you can be doing for yourself, for your business, for your family. It's incredible. And every time you put something down, right, you write it, it's 40% more likely that will come to fruition. I mean, why not be doing that? So, activity, I'm not big for like hardcore exercise. I mean, if you want to do it, great, but you don't have to do it. And you certainly can be chunking it down during the day, doing it 10-minute increments. And that's going to be just as good for you as if you could even get into a gym for an hour.
Can we talk about what that looks like? Because for me, I've got a big expanse of floor. Just
Yeah.
beyond my little my fake wall on my office here is my
Yeah.
big basket full of my yoga mat, etc. And usually that's spread out on the floor behind me. So if I'm in like need to work on something mentally, I'll get on my mat. How right? Like, and
Yes.
with no particular thing in mind, I just stretch what feels good in the moment. But the other thing is, if I'm not on calls, I have on my Sirius XM and my favorite channel, because I didn't really like disco, was New Wave, right? So I listened to the Wave channel, and I will, a song will come on and I'll spontaneously go, oh, dance break. And then
Yeah.
I'm dancing for like
I love
3
it.
songs, right? And I sit
Yeah.
back down and it's like I just got recharged,
Oh my
right?
God.
And my
Okay.
mind is working better. I feel really good. It's so much better than having another Reese's peanut butter cup.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Right? Because the Reese's peanut butter cups, they make me want to go sit on the couch and watch, binge the new season of The Crown.
Yeah, and you know what? Just to link that up and to feel the difference between those two things. I mean, what I call it stop, challenge, and choose. So if you can just take a moment when you're feeling like going to get those Reese's Pieces or whatever, the peanut butter cups, just take a really deep breath and just hold on for a second. Just stop and just figure out what's going on. And then just challenge what you're feeling. Say, okay, listen, you know what? I give myself full, yeah, I can go and eat that if I want, or I can choose to do something else. And guess what? I'm going to feel so much better if I go and dance my heart out for a couple minutes, and then I'm going to be more productive with everything that I have laid out for today. So why don't I choose that? And more times than not, you'll choose that. Also, remember, this is just like a really easy tip. Sometimes when you have those cravings or you are hungry, it's because you're actually thirsty. So just go get a
Oh
big
my
drink,
God. Oh my God. Yes. Yeah.
right? I
So
mean, that's
33 ounces, and I have 4 of these bottles, and I fill them up every morning and leave them on the counter so I can just grab all day. And it's a constant visual reminder of how many
oh my
more I
God,
have
I
to
love that.
go.
I
Because
love
if I
that.
don't, if I'm just refilling one bottle, I'll lose count because I am a scattered person. Like I won't know how many ounces I've actually drunk, and I could literally like rationalize myself. Oh yeah, I've had 3. Right.
Oh
But
my
if they're on the counter and it's 6 o'clock and there's 2 left, I know I haven't had 3.
How cute is that too? Like the night before, if you prepared them and you put in like cucumber slices or
Correct.
fruit or whatever, you could infuse that. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
genius.
Yep,
Genius.
I do a lot of that in the summer. During the colder months, I don't feel the need as much. Um, so I don't know what's up with that. That's just me. But can we talk about like now making that conscious choice between dancing and moving my body in crazy ways, which feels so freeing.
Yeah.
Um, what about like, not that we're gathering, but some of these things are still going to hit people, your family, most of the people closest to you can trigger so many things at this time of year, right?
Yes.
Like you and your siblings, you're all middle-aged people, but why is it suddenly one of your brothers or sisters can say something and you're a 9-year-old, very insecure person again? And now everything you've planned for yourself about what you're gonna do and not do can go right out the window. How do we handle that?
You know what? A fun one for that is like you obviously know that it's coming, right? Because you've experienced it before. So just know that those are old patterns that are running. I mean, it's not the you here and now. You're safe, right? That stuff does not have to have an effect on you. So it's kind of like knowing that it's going to come and almost playing a game, right? You could play a game. Just say, how many times is this going to happen during this interaction at this game, right? And seriously, and maybe even have a little reward. Say, if it happens 10 times, I'm going to allow myself to go get that new yoga mat that I want, right? Make it a total game. So you're actually like looking for it. It's like, ooh, when's it coming next? And you're going to embrace it. You'll be like, oh, there it is. I got another one. And you're going to be chuckling. Just have fun with it because you are in control
I
of
love this so much. I do. This is another life-changing little thing, a tool to utilize. Because yeah, come at me. Please come at me because
yeah.
I'm getting
Yeah. And maybe check in with me after the holidays and let me know how it went. Because seriously, if you really think about it, if you're allowing them to still be torturing you all these years later, you you don't have to do that. You don't have to. You really don't. Okay, and that's going to take practice.
right.
Okay,
Right.
and these are just things. It doesn't happen overnight. I'm just letting you know that there are tools and ways that you can maneuver those, and you are more than capable to do it. It is like a muscle, right? You're going to have to practice, but it gets easier and easier. And especially if you can figure it out with your family, your interactions with everyone are going to be that much easier.
Right. Because you were talking about changing the blueprints. If you
Yeah.
do that enough, like
Yeah.
that becomes your go-to, right? You don't have to think about it ahead of time. It's just like that game is just going to, when the
Oh,
first thing hits, the game starts,
oh
right?
yeah.
Because so even if you haven't really planned like what your reward is going to be, like in that moment, you can go, oh, what will my reward be today if this keeps going on?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's always interesting too to jump into somebody else's shoes. So, the people who are kind of spewing it at you, it's like, where must they really be?
Correct. Right. Yes.
Have compassion. They're just little kids stuck in that big body too.
Right. Right.
So if you can have compassion, and another big thing is forgive people for all the things that they've done. Doesn't mean condone what they've done,
Right.
right? Because sometimes I bump into some pretty horrific things. Doesn't mean it's okay, but you're just forgiving them so that you can move on, so that you're not carrying that. Because we've all heard that. It's kind of like it's like you continue drinking poison and expecting it not to kill you,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Forgiveness is not about the other person. It's totally freeing ourselves of the burden of carrying it.
Oh my
Right.
God,
The
I've got
hate or
better.
the anger.
100%. So listen, when you're walking into those situations too, this just came to me. You, Dawn, big girl Dawn, what I want you to do is I want you to protect little Dawn
Oh, that's brilliant.
because she doesn't have the capacity to do that.
That's brilliant. Because that's
Yeah.
exactly that's the exact feeling at the time when you become that small person again. It's like, oh my God, I am out here. I have just entered the lion's den and I
Yeah.
have nothing
Yeah.
and no one.
Yeah.
That is, yeah,
You take her in and you protect her.
that
Yeah.
is brilliant.
And if you need to remove her, that's an option. You don't have to keep yourself in those situations. You can create new situations. And I know traditions are very important, but this is what we're talking about. We need to alleviate stress, especially during the holidays. So if it entails making new traditions, especially during this year, because traditions are all
Right.
to the shitter.
Right. Yeah, totally. Because that was just hitting my mind too, because we really are going to have very small gatherings. Like Thanksgiving in this house is going to be me and my husband. I'm
Yeah.
still doing the turkey and the fixings, not as many because how
Yeah.
much can we eat? But I'm still doing it so that the house smells and feels like Thanksgiving, right?
Yes. Because that's important to you. Yeah.
Right, right. So how do we not bake all the things and then none of the people are coming to eat them and then we have a house full of things? What kind of strategies can we put in place for that? Like I could live without Christmas cookies, but
Mhm.
pies, man, I want
Those are
some
your,
pie. Right.
is it so what's interesting with this is, what you just treat Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, whatever other days that you may be celebrating, just like any other day. So for the majority of the day, and this is where I help people just, figure out what a good way of eating for them is. But you know what? You eat normal all during the day. The one thing you don't do is you don't skip out on a bunch of meals, right? So that you can like load up on that one meal. That's probably the worst thing that you can
It
do. And it
is.
doesn't feel good. And then, you know what? Just make a conscious plan. So since this year is going to be so different for you, right? So it's going to be you and your husband. It's, you know what? And I've got a list, like if you want it, Dawn, and you can send any, I've got a list of links that for like yummy, like healthier alternatives. And healthy does not have to taste like disgusting, right? There's
Correct.
really cool
Correct.
things. So maybe start this year with new traditions as to what you're going to be putting on the table. And then when you go into dessert, maybe have your one amazing treat that you make that I'm sure is delicious. And you know what? Of course, you're going to have a little bit of it. But you know what? If typically you have two big pieces, have one big piece, or have
Right.
a couple bites, whatever's going to satiate you. And it's not about depriving you, right? Because this is for the long term.
Correct.
You need to enjoy. But I bet you what, if you just eat normally during the day and you have some healthier options and then you have just a little bit of that dessert, I bet you're going to feel so amazing that night and then going into the next day.
Correct.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. I did, and I'll need you after we're done. Send me the names of the doctor that you're talking about listening to on YouTube so that I
perfect.
can post it for people. But the other thing is I found this amazing website where a woman she revamps recipes and it's called Baking for Two. Like you
Ooh,
literally make like six normal sized chocolate chip cookies. That's all the recipe makes. 2 cupcakes.
wow.
Right. So like
Look
one night
at
my
that.
husband came home and I was like, "Oh, we have cupcakes for dessert." And I see his face like, "Oh, I'm going to have to bring the rest of them into work." I was like, "No, I made 2 red velvet cupcakes." Two.
Oh my God. Well,
Right?
think about it too, right? Because I mean, if I bring in a big thing of Oreos, I mean, that's kind of my thing. I I will easily eat 2 sleeves of it. Just
Right.
like I just can't have them in there.
Right.
Period.
Correct. That's me and
Oh,
chips.
yeah. Well,
Every
yeah.
bag is a snack size to me.
Oh, of
I will
course.
not stop eating them till they're gone. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah. 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 I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. So chips aren't in the house on a regular basis.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
And then, working through that whole, I mean, I call that binging and it's something that I work on. And you know what? I still do it to this day. I don't do it as often. So I'm getting better and better. And
Right.
that's my self-talk.
Do you give yourself permission sometimes? Like, oh, you know what? Today I'm going to eat the Oreos.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, because I do that. Like, I'll be in the grocery store and I usually don't go down that aisle, but sometimes as I enter the grocery store, I'm like, when's the last time you had chips? Like, buy the reasonable size bag, Dawn, but give yourself permission today to go home, eat the chips, and
Yeah.
not feel bad about it because you're not doing it
No,
every day. Like,
exactly.
right? One
Exactly.
bag of chips is not going to kill me or change everything in the world.
No, moderation.
Right.
Moderation is what it's all about. And it will be helpful, like after you do eat that bag of chips, because of course we know you're going to do that, right? Just
Right.
to notice, like, what did that actually give me satisfaction? Or, did it kind of make me feel like crap? And you just kind of link it up a little bit. And then the next time, and then pretty soon you'll just find that probably you'll be doing that so randomly, it's not even funny.
Right. Right. When I've got a handle on things, it's like maybe once every 3 months, I'll buy the bag of chips.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
hello.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And I got to tell you, man, they taste so much better when you're not eating them all the time. That first chip is like, oh, heaven. Because
No, and that's what they say too. Like, you only really taste the first couple bites of something.
right, right. Like drinking
The
an
rest-
alcoholic drink, right? It's the
Exactly.
first 2 sips and you get that down feeling. After that, right? You don't get that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But we keep drinking. Well, not me anymore. But you keep drinking because you
Yeah.
still want that feeling.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Crazy.
Amazing. Amazing.
So, what other really basic pointers do you have for people who just, you know, they're not looking to change their whole life, but just a couple of things that people can incorporate into their life as a starting point. Because I know for me, the more I feel better, the more I want to do better,
Oh yeah.
right? With my health.
So, okay, I'll share the tips that I use with my clients. So I have literally, I've worked with thousands of people, and this is what has worked for them. So I'm just going to share the basics. And so basically, it's most people need to eat more, right? And of course, we want to be eating clean. And so what I have people focus in on is within a half an hour of waking, they just have their first meal. I'll call it a fueling. Okay. So it doesn't have to be a full-blown meal because not everybody likes to eat a lot in the morning, but you want to start up your metabolism. So having, I mean, you could have a shake, you could have a little handful of almonds. Breakfast is super important how you start it. So you want to make sure that it's a good one. So if you're incorporating food, things like eggs, oatmeal, oh my goodness, if you haven't tried Ezekiel toast
I love
with an
Ezekiel
avocado on it,
toast.
oh, it's fabulous. So
Yep.
yeah, reach out to Dawn if you need to know like what Ezekiel toast is. You can put nut butter on it with some bananas. So really, I mean, just like your morning routine, for your mind and for your body, you want to start very nutritiously what you're putting in. And what that will do is it will keep your blood sugars stable. And then what you need to do is you just need to think every 3 hours at least, and this is where people go askew. Every 3 hours, you need to be having something. And hopefully it's a protein, good carb, fat combo. Okay, that's ideally. Now, if you can do this all day long, and you sandwich in your lunch and your dinner, um, and listen, don't be afraid to eat after 8. I know that kind of fallacy is out there. And I'll just give you a little tip. There are, the bikini models that they go and they shows, right? So for the last couple weeks in preparation, what they start doing is they start setting their alarm clock every 2 hours all throughout the night so that they can keep their metabolism burning quickly and really cut that weight. Right. So if you're up, till 12 o'clock at night and you haven't eaten since dinner at 6 or 7, you really do need to have some sort of little snacky thing in between there. So those are huge. And again, just, make sure, it's good protein, whatever source of protein that you want. I mean, you could be vegan or vegetarian. I mean, there's lots of different choices for that. But that really, if you can keep your insulin levels stable, not only is that healthier for your organs, right? And then you don't have to worry about like metabolic disease, type 2 diabetes. Okay, those are huge. You're going to feel satiated. You're not going to get hangry ever, and it's going to kind of unlock your capacity to burn fat.
Plus,
And
you
that,
have a nice even energy level throughout your day,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You
you're not
don't,
going
you're
to
not,
dips. Yeah,
right.
you got it.
So we talked about how much water I'm trying to drink a day. Can you speak to water? That's one of the first things I ask people is how much water do you drink? And people are like, oh yeah, I'm good on the water. No, really, tell me how much you drink.
Yeah.
So explain why this is, they know it, they've all heard it from me, but let's hear your take on the water thing and what it's all about.
So first of all, I mean, water, guys, there's so much that we can be doing without even formally working with somebody like me. I mean, upping your water intake, that's a big one. So you know what, if you're the type of person that's only having a couple glasses a day, definitely up it. I think a good rule of thumb is your body weight in ounces, and then you cut that in half. So
Right.
like 50, so cut that in half. 75 ounces I should be drinking. Um, Another good rule of thumb, I think, is just, I mean, is your pee clear? If it's clear, you're probably getting enough. Okay. But think about it. Your body is mostly made up of water. So if you can imagine, if you're dehydrated and your cells are not functioning like they should, how's your body going to work like it should? It can't.
Right.
So adding in that water, you're going to have more energy, more clarity. Ugh, everything.
Right. And like, when we're young, our body is still very resilient and renewing itself so much more, right? But as we age, if we're dehydrating ourselves on a regular basis, those organs are no longer babies either, right? and it affects them harder for long-term damage. Am I wrong?
Oh my gosh, you just nailed something huge. So it's not only with water. We can go through so many years of getting away with eating this way, drinking that way, abusing our body this way or that way. And people are like, "Well, I don't know. I could do it when I was younger." It's like, no, you actually couldn't do it when you were younger. You were actually doing damage to your body that has accumulated. And this is the time. So I'm in my 50s, right? This is the time where you see people and you'll see the Facebook posts. It's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe so and so just died. It's like, what part of that can't you believe? Like you saw that lifestyle. And it's really sad, but it's just the accumulation. We're not getting, not at all. It accumulated and it's going to start manifesting. That's when you see all the different diseases start to pop out around this, around this time.
Right. And while that all is scary stuff, let's not leave out the part where your body is super resilient. When
Yes.
you start giving it what it actually needs and
Yeah.
getting rid of the bad stuff and giving it more of the good stuff, right? I am amazed still, because I just turned 59 this year. I am amazed still how quickly my body wants to return and reset back to a much healthier state. So when I cut the sugar again, it was within 3 days
Yes.
that my body started feeling better. That's how quickly it responded, right? So we're never, I don't believe that we're ever stuck as far as
Never.
our health is concerned.
Never. Our bodies are miraculous.
Yeah, so
I have
much.
seen, I have seen so many things occur that are miracles with people bouncing back from things like stage 4 cancers. It's I mean, it is a miracle, but it isn't. It's your body. If you allow your body to do what it's supposed to be doing, it will take care of you. And so allowing yourself and doing the things to support that, usually it's figuring this out. So I think the biggest thing that I want to share with people is take a look at where you are with your body, with your mind, with your life, with your relationships, with your job. You and only you are responsible for making the choices that got you to exactly where you are. Whoa, hold on a second. Of course, a call came in. So if you got yourself in your choices and your decisions got you to exactly where you are, the really cool thing is that you can make the choices and the decisions to get you out. It does take a game plan. It does take creating a community around you to support you. And what I always love to do is I always love to find a mentor or a coach who has what I have and is already doing what I want to be doing. And to
Correct.
it's huge.
It
It's
is. And
so
and and just because you start trying and your old habits take over again, that doesn't mean you failed,
no.
right? Reset, try again, because you like, okay, I'm 59. So if my bad habits have been with me for 59 years, 1 week is not enough time for me to turn that around and expect that I'm just going to not fall back on bad habits, right?
You've got it. And you know what? I'm telling you what, if you aren't failing at things, like I love failures because failures mean that you're trying something new and that you're actually being proactive in your life. If you're playing it safe, you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to be stuck exactly where you are. So I love
Right.
failures. We celebrate failures.
Right. I did a post last month or so, and it was like, what if failure isn't the end? What if it's just the beginning of finding out what doesn't work for you? Right?
So
It's just a learning experience. Okay, that didn't work. Let's try something new. And that whole thing that came from looking at what I considered a failure at that moment, I was like, and I was beating myself up emotionally. And then all of a sudden I caught myself and I turned myself around and sat myself down and treated myself like I was one of my clients. Like, wait, hold up. Why you hate yourself so much? Like, wait, you're a wonderful person. Let me list all of the good things you do. And let's look at this objectively, because really a failure is only as big as we want to let it get.
Oh my gosh, yeah. No, it's to be embraced. And you know what? Since we are probably talking to mostly entrepreneurs here, on probably a weekly basis, I actually fire and rehire myself.
Oh my God, yes.
Right?
Yes, right. Yeah. Oh my
Because
God, your attitude really sucks today. You need a timeout.
the problem,
Come back to me when you're ready to be a grown up and work this. But that's the other thing too, is like, right? And celebrating failures. Like I like to tell people, we're so ingrained with, we are here, we want this, right?
Mhm.
And we think if we just put our mind to it hard enough, we get there in a straight line, and that's not how it ever works, right? We go up, we're at first we're like, woo, gangbusters, and then somebody says the wrong thing to us, so we lose a little bit of momentum and we have a dip where we're doing the wrong things, and then we come back up. But we only focus on those downtimes. Like
Oh
that's
yeah.
where our primary focus is, on where we trip up, when there are all these mini victories up here on the other side of the line, and we don't acknowledge them or celebrate them, right? Like, why do we do that to
You know what?
ourselves?
That's just human nature. And I think that that's why things like gratitude journals or taking time outs during the day, like just, or even having, a partner that shoot back and forth to things that have gone well with the day. Like what's gone well today? What are you grateful for? It can be the littlest things, but it's huge. And that's really changing your focus. Like you nailed it. Why not look at what's going good instead of what's going wrong? Like it just, as soon as you focus on what's going wrong, you send yourself into almost like a fight or flight. And then that
Correct.
off your ability to even think, process, or go to the next step. So it doesn't serve you in any way.
No, yeah, it cripples you because you're like, oh, no, I'm not good at this. I don't know why I even tried it. Nope, I'm gonna go. I'm sure Walmart is hiring. I'll be fine. And that's what some days Chris comes home and he's like, so how was your day? I said, well, I'm not ready to apply at Walmart yet today. So that's a good day.
I love that. Yeah, no, no, no. And I love like that this is the path. And oh my gosh, like on any given day too. Like if you look at my social media, of course I'm gonna brand myself and I'm gonna put myself out there in a certain way. But seriously, if I do not start my day in the right way and I don't listen to that YouTube just to get me, going forward and thinking positively, I'm telling you what, my days could be like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And that's me too with my lists. If I don't sit down at my desk and I don't have my list in front of me of what I'm going to do, then,
Yes.
you just fall into, oh, let's just scroll Facebook. Oh, well, that 3 hours went fast.
Oh yeah. If you do
And
not plan, if you don't, and you just nailed it right there again. If you don't have a plan, right? If you don't have a focus on where you want to go during your day or for your life, then guess what? Life is just going to take you wherever it wants to go. And it's
correct.
not going to be a fun ride.
No, not at all. And you really, when you're planning things, again, you have to put yourself on the list. And
Yeah.
that means your health goals. That
Yeah.
means your movement goals. And
Yes.
none of it has to be huge. Like, don't put it on yourself that I'm going to start drinking a gallon of water a day, says
Yeah.
the person who has maybe 2 glasses a day. That's not going to happen.
No,
Or,
micro little
right?
tiny habits.
Right? Like,
Gosh.
I don't really exercise, so I'm going to buy some weights or the Peloton, and I'm going to use it every day. Well, if you haven't been moving at all, how do you miraculously, just because that bike's sitting in your house, are you miraculously going to become the person that gets on it every day? You're
No, and
not,
you know what? You're just going to hurt yourself. And
right?
like you said, you know what? You didn't get into the shape that you're in now overnight. It occurred over time. So just flip that. When you're trying to get in shape, why are you going to start with an hour workout? That's just nutty. I mean, unless it's just low key and there's no huffing and puffing, I mean, that's fine. But just do it in little baby increments and just build on it. I call those micro habits. And it's the easiest way to really establish a new habit.
Right.
Otherwise, you're fail. So yeah, this is one huge point. So when somebody wants to be drinking more water, and that's their goal, because we were just talking about that. What I'll say is, listen, do you think you can drink one more cup a day? And they'll be like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, listen, let's do that for the next 7 days. And then when we check in, you tell me how you did. And if you want to do extra credit on any of those days, then feel free to have more water. But then, you know what? They've gotten to the end of that week and they were successful. So confidence is part of it. So now instead of beating themselves up because they didn't have their 64 ounces every single day, they were successful. And we want to build on these successes, and we do it through creating the micro habits to support.
Right. Because walking is movement, right? Dancing is
100%.
movement.
Yes.
So if you've got critters, dogs, it's as simple as they are always ready to go for a walk,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
it can be easy if we allow it to be easy.
It can be. Make it fit for you. Don't do something that somebody's laying out. That's why, you know what, I empower people to take control of their health and their life. They utilize me as just somebody to help just kind of guide them or bounce ideas off of. I don't tell them what they have to do and what they don't have to do.
Right? Because we're dealing with adults,
Well, yes. At
right?
some point in
Yeah.
time, we need to take control of our lives. Yeah.
Right. Right. So I want to thank you. I won't keep you because nobody's going to listen too long to us, even as fabulous as we are. I
In our
will,
own minds.
yes, legends in our own minds. I want to thank you for taking the time. I'm sure people will want to have questions, and we'll make sure we have all your contact details if they want to reach out to you directly and let you mentor them or just answer their questions. Anything else you'd like to add as we wrap up, ma'am?
No, you know what? I just want to thank you though for starting this series, because I know it comes from a place, in your heart where you really just want to love on and support others.
I
And people
really
are
do.
struggling. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for always seeing me.
Mhm.
Take care and enjoy the rest of your day, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.